The US women's soccer players are by far the biggest whining cunts in the world of sports. Let's explore. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Freedom Alternative. Now, women's soccer is back in the headlines. Last time this happened was in July last year when I addressed the topic quite thoroughly, though with a much more primitive equipment. Anyway, so please do watch that video as well, since I won't repeat most of the arguments being made there. So, as I said last July, the bulk of stupidity coming from the women's football segment of the sports world is American in origin, or coming from the general Borg collective of the Anglosphere. You're not going to see the modest, good people of Japan throwing a fist over inconsequential nonsense. The Japanese women's football already understands that women's football is an inferior sport to men's football, and thus makes perfect sense to be less attractive and thus less lucrative. But American women's football stars can't get that through their heads, since they've all been raised under the mentality that the laws of the universe and basic biology doesn't apply to them. So, coming from the former newspaper, the New York Times, US women's soccer players hint at Olympics boycott over equal pay. And goes like this, quote, "Several members of the US women's soccer team, which filed a wage discrimination lawsuit with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission last month, have hinted that they might consider a strike or even boycott of the Olympics this year if they don't see their demands met." While Alex Morgan told NBC's Matt Lauer they filed their complaint with the commission to avoid this, the team's co-captain Becky Sauerbrunn claimed the boycott of the Rio Olympics was still a possibility. "We are reserving every right to do so, and we're leaving every avenue open. If nothing has changed and we don't feel any progress has been made, then it's a conversation that we're gonna have," she told ESPNW's Julie Foudy. Sauerbrunn explained that the team's complaint does not only address the pay inequality, but also other discrimination issues, such as the fact that unlike the men's team, which has a less stellar track record, they are regularly asked to play games on artificial turf. Carly Lloyd published a New York Times op-ed on Monday revealing that the team had considered a strike over those same issues some 2 years ago, before the Algrave Cup, another important tournament, but claimed that, quote, "we weren't completely united then and wound up backing down." The Washington Post argues, however, that boycotting a high-profile tournament like the Olympics could possibly cost the sport's most popular and successful team dearly in terms of public opinion. These chicks are so bloody pathetic, they don't even realize it. Now, on to the boycott itself. Now, what can I say? I hope they do boycott. It's always good when pretentious idiots boycott the Olympics. For instance, at the 1984 Summer Olympics, the Soviet Union pulled an SJW on everyone and recommended a boycott because they were offended that Reagan had poked fun at their disdainful ideology. Eastern Europe complied, except my own country, who ended up offering a great performance, ending up the second in the table of nations after the host nation, the United States that is, but ahead of West Germany and China, at the time our rivals alongside with the USSR. Now, if the USSR had participated, we would have ended up being the third or maybe even the fourth, as East Germany had its notorious factory of fake sportsmen drugged up solely to perform. We can Google about that. The sports program in East Germany is something that made Ceausescu's sports program look very humane in comparison. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing up this example is to highlight that boycotting the Olympics is always, without exception, regarded as throwing a disdainful temper tantrum. Most people will not give a flying toss over the cause you're boycotting over. The purpose of the Olympics is precisely to stop fighting for several days as long as the torch is lit and unite into a more peaceful competition. But then again, I don't expect feminists to understand such masculine ideals like the Olympic truce. When your mindset is one of perpetual revolution and discontent with everyone and everything, your judgment can only get more and more insane. But what drew my attention to this story is the fact that Obama himself, probably in a break from censoring foreign leaders speaking about Islamism, took sides in this debate, and completely unsurprisingly, he took the wrong side. Quote, "Equal pay for equal work should be a fundamental principle of our economy. It's the idea that whether you're a high school teacher, a business executive, or a professional soccer player or tennis player, your work should be equally valued and rewarded whether you're a man or a woman." Seriously, how stupid this guy can be. Because it takes an exceptional level of stupidity to compare tennis, a liberal profession in which payment comes by short-term contracts and sponsorship cash, with high school teachers, a salaried profession in which payment comes as a stipend based on different criteria of bargaining. And I'm not buying it anymore that Obama is saying these things in order to pander. He can't be elected again, and generally he doesn't need to care that much. So the only reasonable explanation left is that he is dumb as a rock. And it makes sense. I mean, this guy hasn't worked in anything that didn't involve far-left political agitprop. Nevertheless, since when it's the business of the US federal government to take positions on a sport that is not even popular in the United States and that is anyway completely privately organized? I mean, doesn't the White House have better things to do, like, I don't know, maybe treat its war veterans better? Because the care for veterans actually is the business of the state, as opposed to women's football. I mean, just saying. Ultimately, I think FIFA should do the right thing and expel the US Women's Federation from FIFA until they get their shit together and start focusing again on the actual sport as opposed to legal shenanigans over disdainful nonsense. There is legal precedent for this. I mean, the British Premier League was expelled from UEFA because the clubs were busy pandering to the hooligans as opposed to taking care of the sport. The Australian Football Federation was expelled from FIFA in 1960 for breaching the statutes. So I see no reason why the US Football Federation should get away with tarnishing the image of the sport over political agitprop bullshit. After all, FIFA doesn't even have to expel the whole federation. Just put the American Federation under the pressure to choose. Either stay in FIFA but without the contemptible cunts, including the domestic abuser Hope Solo by the way, or get the hell out and keep your feminist agitprop as the rest of the planet wants to play football and compete for sponsorship money and then let the chips fall as they are. The idea that women's football players should be paid equally with men is completely retarded in and of itself and downright laughable. I mean, anyone over the age of 5 understands that. Why even pretend that they may have a point? No, they don't have any point to make. They're completely insane and should be treated as such and dismissed outright. It's time to stop allowing these cucks even the opportunity to tell us what to do. You don't belong here. Beat it. And with that being said, thank you for watching and I'll see you around on Freedom Alternative.